All right. Well, Qatar is the 29th different circuit for RPL to host a track in RPL F1. We restarted the stream, so we're gonna restart basically everything because the lobby restarted. We'll go over our headlines in a little bit, but the standings: Reese ahead of Scyther by 48 points. Third to sixth all still have a chance mathematically, but realistically that's really not the case. Mathematically, it could end today for them, but we'll keep you up to date on that. The constructor standings as well is similar as well. Mercedes mathematically still have a chance, but after today, that's unlikely. Red Bull ahead of Ferrari by 74 points, and your commentary lineup for today: Ryan Ocon 31, myself, and I'm joined by Owen 37. It is good to have you once again, by the way. Let's make sure we get into the lobby. How are you doing today? I didn't ask about that.
Horrible. No. All right. I had a nice little day at work. Got a nice little ice cream, very yummy, yum. And now I'm here ready to have some commentary with you on the Qatar Grand Prix. Very, very enjoyable race. I smell. But yes, good day. How are you, Ryan Ocon 31?
Well, Owen 37, I'm doing very good. Another week with us too in the commentary box, so I'm glad to have it. Yeah, no, they wanted to try out something with me and you, and I'm happy that it's that way as well. Usually, again, like I mentioned last week, everyone was asking, "Hey, why is Titan not here?" Well, it was mentioned for a test at first. We're gonna see if it's gonna be the real deal or not. It'll be me and you for the commentary box. I made sure to ask Luke again this week, and he had said, "Yep, me and you." And with that said, you sometimes were spectating Tier 1 yourself and sometimes racing Tier 1 yourself. The championship gap, 48 points. The constructors gap, 74 points. I mean, it doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, it will be a lot when Scyther's not here in the lobby today, which we'll mention in a moment. But with that mentality, if you're a driver or you're around one of those drivers in the championship, you've raced Tier 1. What does that kind of feel like in that sense to yourself as a driver, and more so you racing the other drivers who are around you in a big fight?
I'm sorry, I forgot the question. I was reading something to do with the Ferrari Academy. Sorry.
You're all good. I was talking about the championship contenders. I know Scyther's not here today. We'll talk about it in a moment, but racing around drivers like Reese, you've raced in Tier 1, you've spectated Tier 1 races now as well. What's that environment like, knowing you have to either be careful around them or hey, these are the people racing for the championship and I have to be very aware of this because they're in big battles?
Well, usually, dairy me. Usually what I do when I race is if I'm in a slow car and say for example, you can see this in my tier 2 race and sometimes I do this. Say I'm in a Haas and a Red Bull driver comes up behind me. Obviously my duty in the Ferrari Academy is to prevent the car behind if it's a threat from getting through as much as possible. I did it in Spain in tier 2 as much as I could. Usually I don't really look at someone and race them differently depending on who they are. Like if race is in a championship fight, I'll just race them as hard as I'll race anybody. But obviously some drivers out there are like, oh, this guy's in a fight, let's not inconvenience him too much. But usually, in my experience, I don't really. The name doesn't really matter to me. Obviously, if someone's well renowned to be dirty, you're obviously going to be a bit more cautious. But usually, if someone's high in the championship, I don't really change the way I race against them. It's their responsibility to keep their nose clean.
Yeah, absolutely. And this track as well, before we have cars go on track, it's a 29th different circuit for RPL F1 race. I'm just going to keep saying it. I mean, it's as simple as that.
Is
The
it the
amount of tracks
29th?
you've raced at. Yeah, 29th different circuit we've
You
raced
sure?
at in Tier 1, which is
29th?
crazy. And yes, 29th, yes. I saw what you're doing there. Now,
Way.
with that said, the amount of tracks we've raced at in RPL, the amount of circuits we've been at, it's absolutely insane to think about. You've raced here before. You raced here when Tier 2 raced here in RPL. Tell me what that race was like, and tell me what this track is like and what these drivers will have to expect.
Well, I had a bit of a unique experience with this track because I was in the Red Bull and I had to start from the back. So I had to like my way through the field. And obviously the quickest car by miles. I came second, but I found it to be pretty not easy to race, but like the big long straight when you're in a. This is why I think it's going to be a Red Bull domination in the race at least, is because the big long straight is just unbelievable, and I can just see them absolutely running away with it. On the straight, getting past everyone, gapping everyone. Because that's pretty much what I did. When I was in the Red Bull, I'd be say there's three cars in front of me, three midfield cars, chuck on the ERS, and away you go. However, I think it's this track. ERS is pretty hard to regain, so you need to be
Yes.
very careful where you use it. So the drivers are obviously it's going to be a little bit strategical as well. They're going to have to pinpoint where they want to try and go for the move. Some of them might go for an unorthodox move to try and save the ERS down the straight. But then if they use it all down the straight, then the driver they can use theirs as well and defend. I think it's patience is key around here. If you know you've more ERS in the car in front, just wait let them waste all of it, and then you slip on by. So I think it's going to be a strategic battle, and you should see some unorthodox overtakes as well, because it's going to be a little harder to overtake on the straight as well in the midfield at least. For the Rebels, it'll probably be easy. But yeah, in the midfield, it'll be hard to overtake because everyone's going to be using ARS everywhere. So you could see some dive bombs into that hairpin of turn 6, I think.
Yes.
That'll be
Absolutely. I
interesting.
think overtaking here is very interesting. Yeah, I think it's very interesting. It's difficult, but if you are able to have the pace on your competitors, it does become very interesting to say the least. Time to go over the headlines. Time to keep you up to date with RPL. Florian, who is racing for Aston Martin today, he's a Mercedes Academy reserve until the end of the season. Got fired from Ferrari, racing full-time in Tier 2, but will race full-time next season in F1 Tier 1. Season 10 contract with AlphaTauri. There still is one Aston, one Alpine, one Williams available. We have our first lap come in. We'll keep on board with some of the drivers on laps or starting laps. Another thing as well is Alpine Academy assistant is now Notile. I'll refer to him as Leighton. Everyone says, oh, you pronounce it a certain way. Well, I'll refer to him as Leighton. It's either Notile or Leighton, whatever you want to call him, because obviously the change in gamer tags. Is on Alfa Romeo loan. So is Jordan. Jordan returning to RPL. He did the F2 race earlier today, and he did all right. I would say he kept his car clean. I would say one of the more original RPL drivers as well. With that said, let's go through the lineup with some of the drivers in different areas. Hunted, the normal tier today. Stenner is racing for Ferrari. Scyther would usually be racing, is not here, your championship contender. So very big implications in that aspect. We'll see if he can come back and win the title. Grandpa is at Alpine. Minico is at Aston Martin. T.S. Korsman, everyone knows him as Flaw. He is at McLaren for today's race. Kipu at Haas. Annex on loan at Haas as well. A little controversy before the race, or before the lobby, which we'll mention very, very briefly later on in the session. Shanghai fighting for a seat at Williams. Beatnik said likely could keep it in the Williams. The Chiller, again, second race at AlphaTauri. And Strat Racer is in the Williams. So some interesting names there. With Scyther not here today, Owen, what sticks out to you with that in terms of the championship battle? To move up in that area with Ferrari, the Alphas, and even the Haas's.
Well, the fact that Skusser's not here is absolutely drastically beneficial for Mr. Dainte. He's probably loving life at the moment. We don't actually know the reason why Skusser's not here, but he's missed like about 7 races this season. And what was the second bit about Haas and stuff?
Yeah, everyone moves up, it looks like,
Oh,
in certain areas. Standard of Ferrari,
Yes. So,
Jordan,
yeah.
Ferrari alone.
Obviously, originally, this is where the big news of I'm very upset. I was very upset about this, but obviously I'm
Low
going to be
argument.
professional now. We planned Annex to be in the first, as we believed since he's on loan at Haas, he's at our disposal, but apparently he's not. So then we asked Cryptic, come for our academy. We asked Cryptic, TP of what's he TP of? Red Bull, who Annex is part of. Can we put Annex? All right, Cryptic goes. After a lot of persuasion. And then, literally 20 seconds later, he says, "Do you know what? Actually, no, can't do it." So, literally, we fixed our lineup, and then we had to then change it all again. So then, down into Haas, and Kipu apparently believed he had a quali ban as well. I've just read there,
Yes,
and he didn't.
that's true. I
Um,
just saw that as
so
well.
I don't know why he did that.
Alrighty then, interesting.
He thought he was signed at the wrong time. And Luke
Yeah.
agreed with him instead of checking because Luke's an idiot.
Kip is not too bothered by it, so that's a interesting thing, you know. And I will say, 4 drivers will be knocked out based on pace. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, we'll have to figure that out on not only why that was, but why thought it was 53 instead of 48. Either way, I think, in my opinion, I can understand the team principle, loan rule, that whole thing. But at the same time, it seems like there's always that confusion with that. And I don't know, every week, it seems like there's some sort of confusion. And sometimes it's due to some of the people who tell you, oh, you had a qualifying ban. Oh, no, you didn't, you know, and confusion there. But yeah, that's something that will have to get figured out. In terms of on-track action, TB is going purple in the middle sector on his lap. However, that purple is likely indicating that he has not done any sort of lap prior, whether invalid or valid. And you can see he's not on the board yet. You can see TS Korsman, Stenner, and Cryptic think they're safe enough to retire from the session at the top of the table. And Fake TB is coming across the line now in his Alpine. He will be 8th fastest and a second off the pace.
Sorry, I'm in a verbal disagreement with Luke right now.
Figure that out. We'll go on board Reese, who is your championship leader. Currently, after his most recent win at Zandvoort, Reese became the driver, well, at least tied, with the most wins in RPL Tier 1 without a championship. I mean, whenever I say RPL, I'm just going to refer to it as simply Tier 1 unless I say otherwise. I'll make that clear from now on. But he is going purple. And the thing about Reese is that him and 2 other drivers have 10 wins, but no championship to their name. So now, if he can get win number 11, let alone win the championship this season with that stat being toward Reese. You know, Red Bull were off the podium for a couple of races there recently. Well, they got back on it in Japan. Post-race penalties from Jack and Annex allowed Reese to finish P2. Very, very crucial toward that, and did not help Scyther's case, especially with Scyther missing today's race. Reese enters the final corner, a very tough corner on exit with the traction, and hitting fully used all the way to the max. But can he go at the top of the table? Yes, he can. He's ahead of Cryptic, his teammate, by 300ths. Behind that, we also have Tret Racer starting a lap, which we'll go on board with now. And Tret Racer will tell you about this track. He just went through turn 1, 2, 3, and now we head towards sector 2. Turn number 4, 50 Bullard. A little bit after that is where you're going to let off. It's a double right. You don't want to brake, but some cars with the overspeed kind of has you made to do that. Turn 6 right there. Easy to... It's a really iffy section on the traction. Then 8, 9, and now to turn 10. Again, that section, you could easily lose a ton of time. You don't want to hug the curbs too much until you get to right here. This is exactly where you want to just mount those curbs. Turn 12, 13, and then 14. And so easy in that area to just get it all wrong. Same here with 15. Full throttle right there for most of the drivers, but sometimes I've done full throttle right there and I lose the rear whenever I've done this track. However, you got to have your setup planted in the right spot to not lose the rear. And it looks like Tret Racer has not lost the rear whatsoever. He's had a nice clean lap. He will set himself 12th fastest. It's safe for now, but there's still tons of drivers yet to set times.
And it appears people are already when someone's quick. Yeah, it's a very good lap from Mr. Tret Racer. Put himself in the P12 at 22.596. Not too shabby at all. A tenth and a half over TV in front of him, so that's a pretty solid lap time from him.
And Beanick, yeah, I must give credit to him. He's been under the radar. He said during the Tier 2 commentary, I've been under the radar, you know. I've not been able to show myself, not been able to, you know, anything like that. And really, that's untrue if you look at Italy. But the races beside that, though, that he's been in races, it kind of is true. He got his podium at Italy earlier this season. It was his first of the season, making it back-to-back. Win at Monza prior, a couple seasons ago. So, you know, Beatnik has been up there quite a bit. But, however, when he returns to the Mercedes, that's when he shows his stride.
As you could find him, where there is there. That's very large. You turned on my game zombie. Here we go with the little SE section, and then into this, not really a hairpin, but a long left-hander, and then basically the rest of the lap is pretty last corner. You're on the limit with you here. This little triple right-hander. First time I experienced this was on the MotoGP game. It was absolutely tremendous on that. And then into this little kink, small break, little. And he's invalidated. It's very easy to invalidate there, and he's done it. He's bottled it.
Tell me about track limits at this track, because I'm curious, you know, on your input at it. I think turn 1 is an easy place. That penultimate corner is an easy place, and the triple right as well as the double right are big sections for me that I think, you know, it's a big key factor to watch out for this race, but also something the drivers themselves have to watch out for, and we could be seeing a lot of track limit penalties if they're not careful enough, Owen.
Yeah, it's very easy to go wide in this track. The curbs are literally, it's literally the same as the track. Like, Grandpa's done it again. It's very easy to go off. I'm surprised 18 drivers have put a lap in. De Schiller is a driver who's not put a lap in yet. So he's going to be a big risk. He's going to need to chuck in that lap. Otherwise, he's gone.
Apologies for not switching it. So, there we go. Oh! Schiller getting all out of shape right there.
Classic De Schiller, really.
The third to last corner. Yeah, I mean, you know, people do say that, but, you know, when you talk about how many lap times he's had deleted for track limits in the recent races in RPL, even the recent seasons of RPL, that's why that nickname comes toward him, but he's 17th fastest. Both AlphaTauris going to have to go again.
Jordan and Mr. Shanghai are also in the drop zone. Kippe obviously in the drop zone because a certain individual is not capable of double checking. And Jordan and Shanghai are on their out laps. They're gonna have to. I don't know if De Schiller's gonna get enough time to come back in and out. He might be done unless he's got a load of fuel on board. But I don't know. I don't think he does.
We'll find out. Zakaria invalidated that lap. He's going to go for another one. He is barely safe. He had some interesting antics with Blue Goggy in yesterday's Tier 2 race, and we could be seeing what kind of penalty he's facing for that, because Zakaria did admit via the RPL chat that what happened with Blue Goggy was partially intentional. We have 4 drivers still out there. And Grandpa not going back out in the Alpine, by the way. He looks to be out of this session if anyone improves. That was Florian who went 10th, by the way. And now we go to Zakaria, who is coming through turn number 6. Hugging that inside curb. You don't want to touch it too much, but that is exactly why, because you could lose the rear. It steps it on you. However, I think Zakaria is still going because he needs to. He has Hunted, who can improve. The Chiller's out of this session. Jordan is in the bottom 5 as well. Shanghai has come close to making the next round of qualifying the last couple of races he's done. So there is still reasons to be out there on track and improve. Even if you're down like Zakaria is right now, he's got to find time in that last sector that he didn't have previously. If he can just improve a little bit, it might be good enough, but he is gone out of bounds.
Wait, am I watching the right person?
Yeah, Zakaria did go out of bounds. You're right about that as well. Hunted as well, invalidated, and won't make it back to the flag in time from the looks of things. So he's out of qualifying. Jordan and Shanghai are the next 2. Shanghai is improving by a 10th. Jordan improving by 5 tenths. If Jordan can find a couple more 10ths, Owen, he might get through. Jordan coming to the line, and Alfa Romeo returning to RPL. He's through. Grandpa is out. And now the checkered flag is waving. Hunted didn't make it back in time. Both AlphaTauri's out. That's not good for them. And Shanghai's invalidated. So that is it for qualifying. Wow.
Grandpa with the ego retire. Well, he didn't retire. He just ego pit, and he's paid the price for his ego. He's out.
Wow. And look at what it took to get through. Just 1
The top 10 separated by 7, or the top 10 separated by 6. Sounds very close. Jordan would be thrilled, to be fair, with that.
Let's find out. Also, as well, a big talk in the chat. We mentioned last week, Sauberfan, the question of him cheating or not. Obviously, there was tons of questions raised about that, and he left RPL on his own. But I want to talk about Annex P6, though, in a Haas. Obviously, same academy, same engine, and Annex says that car is a qualifying merchant, but he is P6 right now. You know, it sounds silly to say it 2 weeks in a row. Oh, someone's cheating. Oh, someone's cheating. But do you think that Annex's lap right there is qualifying based on that Haas? Because that Haas has been fast in qualifying, to his credit, though, in races. But I could definitely see why it raises a concern.
I just think people are always so quick to throw it around, to be fair.
I agree.
I just don't know why everyone does it. Like, just because you're on PC and you put in a good lap, like people act like RPL is the pinnacle of league race, and it's not. Half these drivers are like a second and a half, 2 seconds off, like esports level. Annex, if he is this quick, he's probably literally like a second off esports, maybe, you know, a few, like 8, 9 tenths off. So I just think people need to just calm down a little bit with the accusations, unless there's actual substantial proof that someone's cheating.
Yeah, I agree.
Otherwise, just enjoy it, man.
Absolutely. I don't think there's always a need to question drivers who are outpacing their cars, because, and mentioned in chat, Zakaria is ahead of the Tier 2 championship leader right now. So the people who are 1 and 2 in the Tier 2 championship, Grandpa and Hunted out, the Chiller also out, the teammate, Shanghai and Kipu. Kipu could not set a lap due to a little bit of confusion. We've mentioned that multiple times, which is unfortunate for him. Couldn't really compare him to his teammate of Annex, but now we're on to Q2, where things get very serious, in fact, for all the drivers. And not only does it get very serious, but at the same time, it does get serious for what teams will not make Q3, because we've had 4 different teams make Q3 with both cars the last 2 weeks. Both Aston Martins, both Red Bulls, both Ferraris, both Mercedes. And it looks like it was just only both AlphaTauris there in the bottom 5 in the relegation zone for Q1.
Darius will be very disappointed that he's knocked out. He was suggesting that the AlphaTauri is a bit of a boat or something, I think he said. So I think he needs to just put in a race of his life, really. Where is he in the standing? He's like P3 in the standings at the moment, the Schiller. So he's obviously not going to... You were mentioning the fight for P3. He's obviously not going to be winning that fight.
Not in that car.
Most definitely not. And that's why I said earlier before you obviously had the unfortunate game crashing that I'm pretty sure Cryptic's going to win that because he's the best. And
if he doesn't, he's a criminal, I think.
Driver, yeah. If he doesn't win that fight for P3, then I think he needs to just pack it in.
To be fair to Cryptic, I mean, he had a good finish of top 6 streaks going. And I mentioned top 6 because of the top 6, top 8, top 10 car. Well, I say with teammates, of course, but, you know, top area cars. You know, the last time he was outside of the top 6 before Japan was back in Spain. So Cryptic's finished every race he's done in the points. So, I mean, you know, even if he is in the top car, he has the consistency to at least come back from any issues and avoid many issues, it seems, which is a very good thing to have. That battle for P3 is one we'll watch out for today because you need to be either 130 points or lower to be eligible to still have a chance for the championship. Is it unlikely? Yes. Is it realistic to be in the championship fight at that point? No. It's really not realistic to be in the championship fight. Realistically out of it, probably, yeah. It's really between Reese and Scyther, but that battle for P3, a matter of 24, 25 points. And now we go on board with L74G, who, by the way, with Luke, it has to be mentioned, he won round 17 last season. So does that give him a little bit of momentum and a little bit of confidence? Maybe. But those are different tracks, though. We've come here for the first time at Qatar. And, well, to be fair, it was in the Middle East. So we'll find out if he can continue his strides. And we speak of night races. The last 4 night races, was it 4 or 3? 3 night races. We've had 3 different pole sitters, so we'll see if we can make it a 4th different pole sitter. Luke going out very wide to the curb right there, and now we ride on board with him to the triple right, where he's going to go toward the inside curb, going to hug the second one, and not as much, because that's why. He invalidated.
Taunt. Who are the 3 pole sitters in night races?
Who's been on the 3 different poles? Okay, so, we have, let's see, we have earlier this season at Saudi Arabia, Scyther. Meneko's completing a lap. We'll go on board with the next driver starting lap in just a moment. Scyther, Jack at Abu Dhabi, and then before that was Luke at Singapore for pole sitters.
Oh, I remember Jack still going for his was it 6th pole, 6th season where he's had a pole in a row?
I believe so. Let me just double check. Most seasons
tied
with a pole. Jack has
that.
had pole in 4 different seasons as drivers
In a
continue
row?
to complete laps.
Huh, yeah.
In a row, yes, 5 through 8.
So he's looking for the 5th one.
It would be a record
he's pretty
too.
bad at this track, so I don't think he'll
Well, you
be
talked
this
to him
track.
prior. You know.
I barely. I was only home like
That's
half
fair.
an hour ago.
That's fair. That's quite fair. All right, Jack Miles coming to complete a lap. We'll see what he does, and then switch on board to TB, who I think wants to pick up a tow from him, which is very interesting, in fact. Jack Miles comes to the line, has all the deployment used, trying to get him out of that tow. Jack Miles goes 5th fastest. Yeah, he was making sure TB does not get any slipstream. Very technical there from Jack. Well, TB, let's talk about this. Turn 1, turn 2. Curb toward turn 2, where Perez, Hulkenberg, and Ocon collided. And turn 3, hug that inside. Get the speed you can on the entrance to turn number 4, the double right. Hug the inside curbs. Don't go too wide and invalidate. You don't want to brake right there. You want to let off, because if you brake, you're going to really have not much speed to turn number 6 right here. And now as he comes to the sector split, you saw right there, purple on that lap. Obviously, that's for his personal best. And now to the S section, which can get very tricky and very easy to invalidate. Take it away, Owen.
Let's have a look. Hugging the apex curb beautifully. Nice usage of the exit curb. A little squirrely moment with the rear end, but keeping it all four wheels on the tarmac, on the black stuff. Through the triple right, flat for the first two. Little downshift, little uplift. And through the white lines. Through the final bit, absolutely perfect, nailing it. And then into the final corner, into fourth gear, getting on the throttle very quickly, chucking the DRS over, now doing a big boy straight. I think the finish line, what's he going to do? It's only 22.3. The finish line is very far down the straight, which is a bit abnormal for usual F1 race circuits. Usually the finish line is usually like at the very start of the straight. So we could see at the end of the race some interesting drag racing from position.
Yes. It'd be very interesting. Titan says, both Alphas, both Astons, and Trat Racer out of Q2. That's very interesting, I must say. T.S. Korsman thinks his time is safe to retire from the session. I'm going to chime in there. You know, we didn't really mention it, but Trat Racer getting through in the Williams deserves ton of credit there for Williams. Either way, I think he's out of this session, in my personal opinion. I'm going to add Jordan to that. I'm going to add Zakaria to that as well. Who else will be out? Florian has been impressing me in terms of qualifying, so I'm going to say he's safe. I'd say it's both Alfa Romeos, the Williams, Redfire, and it's so tough because Annex has been really good in that Haas in qualifying and just in general.
Titan said both Alpha, both Astons, and Trat.
Yeah, so I'm going different in terms of the Astons. I mean, I've Redfire in there. I'm gonna put Minico in there. I hate to do it, but I could see his point. And that I want him to prove me wrong, though.
Alpine, so. TBs in the Alpine can get knocked out.
Okay, who else?
I'm gonna actually let me do some analytics here. Right? So. You're at Trat Racer, he's obviously going to get knocked out. Alfa Romeo is obviously going to get knocked out. They're on the fringes of Q1. I'm going to say Red and 50B. So currently 9th to 13th, I think we'll get knocked out.
Alright. Interesting.
I think it's the most logical play.
Yeah, and you know, another thing too that we did not mention, you know, obviously people know there's a chance of a rain race, while with it being in the Middle East and at Qatar, not gonna happen. Very, very slim chance. If it were to, I think I might fall out of my chair at that point. But with that being said, we'll go on board for a couple of laps with the drivers. I'll have you tell us about that in just a moment. But yeah, Annex and Florian's lap. Who's that?
Elsa Vorgi had a major issue with the rear end there into the hairpin. Maybe that was he's backed off. He had a big issue.
Well, Jack's starting a lap. How about you take us through that, Owen? And with that said, we're gonna have 5 drivers eliminated, and Jack looks like he's not gonna be one of them as long as he could just improve in this lap.
And this here he comes into turn 1. Usually I would go down to just 4th there, powering the throttle through. You can have a lot of grip in these first 2 corners. For 4th gear again, using all exit curve you can, tight to the apex, then you want to go wide. Get ready for this corner, a lot slower than it looks. And into the second one, which is a little bit quicker, then into the hairpin, which is the slowest corner on the circuit. 3rd gear. Usually you don't want to use too much curve because it can slow you down quite a lot. This corner is a little bit tricky because it's a long right. And then you're immediately into a left-right, little left section. Well, not a little left section, little swooper section. And then into the quicker hairpin on the circuit, down into the most, and this is the best part of the circuit, the most well-known part of the circuit. When you think Qatar, you think of the triple right-hander. Flat for the first 2, just like we saw with TB's lap earlier. Flat for the 3rd one as well. Beautiful from Mr. Miles. 4th one here. A little left. A little dab in the brakes as well, I think. And then into the final corner, down to 4th or 5th, 4th gear. This is It's very similar. The last corner and the first corner are two very similar corners. And then he's used all his deployment. He's going to go very slow and across the line for the
Woo!
provisional pole time on Q2. Very nice lap.
Cryptic, can he better that? Cryptic's coming to the line now. 21-2 is the time. And Cryptic actually, I think, is either bailed out of that lap or something happened on that lap to where he just couldn't maximize everything that he wanted. Beatnik is starting lap. We'll go on board with him as well. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the bottom 5 that would be eliminated, but, you know, I mean, there needs to be some shout-outs in this session to some drivers. Annex deserves it. I would say as well how Florian deserves it. I think Florian's been impressive without a doubt. Whether it be Tier 2, whether it be just as of recent, he's been very, very impressive. And yes, he's a lot faster in qualifying than the race in most occasions, but even then, to be ahead of Minico, who has proved himself to be pretty fast, I would say, in terms of the races he's done and a contender, Florian in Tier 1 next season should be interesting for AlphaTauri.
He was terminated from Ferrari due to his inability to risk clean and inability to finish in the points quite well. I think he's just one of those drivers who struggles in a quicker car and struggles under the pressure of fighting for wins. I think he'll do fine in a lower to mid-tier car. But yeah, you can see what he's already doing in Aston Martin last night in what track was it? I rated it. Hungary. You see, he did very well. And someone doing very well is Beatnik right now. He's absolutely steaming it in this lap.
Yes, he is. Beatnik comes to the final corner, brakes very heavily, and he is carrying tons of speed into this final corner and has a beautiful lap set in front of him. Now, Beatnik coming to the line. What is Beatnik going to do in the Mercedes? And where does he rank amongst the drivers?
Ooh.
Second fastest. And fastest in the final sector. So, Beatnik, Jack, Tias Korsman, Reese, and Lukensteiner should be safe.
I think pretty much everyone in the top 6 is safe. As you said, Annex and Florian, could they be safe? I don't think so. I think it's 7th, 15th is going to be the battle here. Luke is obviously just finished his lap. She's going to come in and retire. Same with Beatnik as well.
Rat racer coming out. Sorry to cut in.
Everybody's
any driver
in.
getting on track should be
Cryptic!
leaving
I
in a
didn't even
moment.
notice. What's happening there? What is he doing
Yeah,
there?
he did not have the lap at all whatsoever. Well, Minico on a lap for Aston Martin. First Aston Martin start, and will now have made a start in every Mercedes Academy car. Comes through toward the sector split on the limits. He is really pushing it to try to find some time to get in, and actually 2/10 up, so he knows he needs time on Cryptic, his teammate, and Annex to get through, because that's really where the battle will be. Every single one of these drivers, 7th on down, out on track right now. S section for Minico now, hugging these curbs, trying to find a way to find some time, and trying to find the limits here at Qatar. Now, pulls to the right, to the left. Now, up the gears he'll go, the battery almost below halfway, and now the triple right comes upon us. Inside curb for here. A little more on the inside here than we saw Luke, because if you're not toward the inside enough, you'll invalidate like Luke did earlier. And he got himself safe luckily with a second lap. Now the penultimate corner. Balls to the walls, it seems, for any driver who takes that corner. Minico pushing as well in the Aston Martin, but is it enough to get through into Q3 and set both Aston Martins there as well for the 3rd week running? Yes, it's 4th!
Very good lap.
Wow.
Zakaria now in the Alfa Romeo will be the next to cross the line.
Yeah, we
to
continue
finish
to watch
a
the
flying
drivers.
lap.
The checkered flag will be waving soon. Everybody should be safe to get there, I believe. Annex is the one who's
Gonna
doesn't
make
get
it.
through. That will be a concern. We'll watch Annex first before Zakaria coming to the line. Annex is
He's
off the final corner now.
not gonna make
It
it.
is a sprint to the finish line.
He's not
He
gonna
is
make it.
really hoping the
He's
time doesn't
leaving the stick.
expire, but it does. comes to the line, and that redesigned Aston Martin, as of this week, goes 5th fastest. That Aston Martin is looking very well for both drivers. The next to cross the line, RPL Jordan in his RPL return. Can he go through into Q3 for Alfa Romeo, or at least ahead of his teammate? Comes across the line. He is 13th, just behind the teammate. Red Fire's next. Red Fire's 8/10ths up, so this should be safe enough to get through as long as he didn't make a mistake, and he didn't. He's 5th, so tons of drivers close. This puts Cryptic into the drop zone and Annex at risk. Cryptic is improving by 6/10ths as he comes off the final corner. TB comes to the line. TB is in, and that might knock Stenner out. We thought Stenner was safe. Stenner is out as Cryptic goes 2nd. And Strat Racer to the line. Is he going to have lap? And my goodness, was it close, because Luke, who completed a lap, thought he was safe, was 10th, just barely safe, and Stenner is out for Ferrari. Oh my. Oh my. What else can I say except oh my?
Wow. Again, these drivers are like, oh yeah, that's good enough. Yeah, I'll be fine. I'll retire. Nope, you're out, mate.
Oh man. Stenner, Annex, Zakaria, Jordan, Strat Racer in the relegation zone, eliminated from qualifying. So 6/10ths, so 21.8 needed to get through. 2 Alfa Romeos out, 1 Ferrari out, Haas with both drivers out, Williams with both drivers out, and that means 7 different teams will be through into Q3. 21-2, Jack leads the way over Cryptic. Yeah, Stenner thought he was safe. He was P3 when he retired. I thought he was safe too. We both said he was safe, to be fair.
True.
That does come as a shock. The track must have been improving. So I'm going to take it as it is. Track was improving. Some of the drivers using old tires. And through to Q3, Cryptic, who is trying to go for a 2nd consecutive pole. Remember, the pole winner's not won the last 10 races. Florian here for Aston Martin. Aston Martin double Q3, 3rd week in a row. Beatnik as well, also involved in the boxing match for Q3. Reese as well, who is there, trying to take another pole for Red Bull. Red Bull with a total of 7 poles this season, I believe. No, excuse me, that's wins. Excuse me on that one. Red Bull only have a total of, I believe, 5 poles. Excuse me on that one. That is my bad. Red Fire and TS Korsman, fair play to McLaren. You know, McLaren needing to do what they can in their battle with Aston Martin. L74G is through. 2nd pole position this season if he could do just that. Minico as well, strong pace in the Aston Martin. Fair credit to him. Fake TB needs that for the sake of where he runs in the championship. Jack Miles as well, going for a 1st pole of the season, 5th different season with a pole in RPL.
I'm rooting for Jack Miles.
Obvious reasons there as team principal for Ferrari.
He's my friend.
Pole prediction and pole time prediction. Well, I'm going to say we go to a 20.8. I'm also going to say the top 3 will be, in no particular order, Jack, Cryptic, and Reese.
Mm.
What do you say?
You think Jack's getting pole?
No particular order.
Oh.
I don't want to have an ego.
I don't know, to be honest. No. T.S. Korsman.
Yeah, TS Korsman has been close.
I forgot what
Who's been sandbagging? Who's been sandbagging? Oh, and that's becoming the question for the drivers. Here's Beatnik on a lap for Mercedes. He's been impressive as well. He's the sector. What's it going to be? It's a 26.9. Obviously purple because he's the only one to go through this sector, but gets it stolen by a Red Bull behind him. And now, turn 7, here we come for the braking zone. You don't have to brake too much for that corner, but just enough to plant your car for a lot of the medium range corners. There's only one big braking zone, I'd say, right here, and it's the final corner. He comes toward the sector split now. Let's see where this is in terms of lap time, and then where our other drivers are at. It is flat out there, and then penultimate corner, final corner, where he's absolutely pushed the limits, brakes later than others. Can he stay within track limits? Yes, he does. Now the question is, was it a good enough run off the final corner? Deployment completely used, all out of battery, comes to the line, sets the benchmark. It is a 21.6. Behind is Cryptic. Cryptic will go provisional pole with a 21.4.
Here comes
Reese
Dainty.
will try to better it. 21.0 for Dainty. 21.4 for Luke, but that was invalid. Aston Martin also invalidated, I believe, as well. Cross the line.
Oh, he takes provisional pole. That's a sensational lap.
20.9 for Korsman in the McLaren, trying to take their first pole in a long, long while. Also, we have your good friend, Owen, Jack Miles. Jack Miles opens the rear wing. A little bit of an assist down that straight to help him try to put it on provisional pole. Can he do it? 21.3, still impressive nonetheless. Red Fire Tiger, I don't even think he's had a pole in RPL. If he hasn't, though, he's still going to try to run for good time. 6th fastest, yes. And TB is next. He's the only one. 22.4. Yeah, let's see if Red Fire's ever had a pole. I want to check that now.
Don't think so.
Red Fire has never had a pole. Never. Luke invalidated. Minico invalidated. So there you go. Well, 20.9. We're getting close to my prediction with a 20.8. Chat, we've not interacted with you in quite a bit. Give us your predictions for pole. Tell us who you're rooting for, and what's the pole time gonna be?
I have to jump on Luke's live stream and hear what he's saying. I can't hear him. His audio is really bad. Let's turn that off. Let's go on the dating.
It's always interesting to see from a driver's point of view as well, you know, because we can't tell from a spectator's point of view, are they using used sets? People were talking about with Annex.
The shit speaking German.
All right. Well, I think everybody is headed to the pit lane. Yes, everyone is headed to the pit lane here. Gives us a little break to talk about anything there. Recently on the social medias, we've posted recent driver lineups for Season 10 of F1 RPL action. Make sure you tune into our social medias. It's the same as our Twitch. If you want to check out some race highlights, do the same as well. And, you know, we have 3 seats to be determined for next season, and that shall be interesting. Qualifying, we usually wait till a safety car or after the race, but if you are wanting to tune in for other RPL events, we've got F2 at Hungary next week, we've got Tier 2 at Spa, we've got F1 next week at Circuit of the Americas, so that shall be interesting. We set our sights back in this session. Owen, who are you looking at in terms of improving as drivers continue to go back out on track? Who needs to improve the most on their lap? Who did a lap?
I think Red Fire Tiger would be very disappointed to be so far for his teammate, to be honest. Corsman's a very quick boy, but I mean, Red Fire Tiger needs to be doing better than that.
Yes.
You can't be that far for your teammate. It looks a bit silly. I think he needs to improve.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll find out. So Cryptic will be the first one to try to avoid traffic, and hopefully, if any traffic does come out in the meantime that are on outlaps, he doesn't get hindered. In terms of strategy for the race, one thing to mention before we do obviously mention it during the break period, it is likely soft to hard, medium to hard for our drivers, or the reverse strategy, and a Hail Mary would be soft medium, but again, very, very unlikely with how long these tires can go. Can they do it with a 27 lap race? Yes, but the issue is you're very much in that cliff slash puncture range or threat, and you don't want that. So we'll see how those drivers do manage it come race time. But with 4 minutes remaining, Cryptic will give us not won any of the last 10 races, so we'll see what he could do in his Red Bull. Take it away.
Let's go with this little rat then. As we dive down into the first corner, here we come. 315 kilometers per hour into the first corner. Quick onto the throttle, you can see there, very, very quick indeed. Through turns two, absolutely on the rails is the Red Bull car, and Cryptic in the driver's seat. Now into turn three, with a little trail brake, then into the fourth corner. Or is it fifth? It's the fifth corner, I lied. Then into the hairpin, hardest braking point in the circuit. He's purple, he's a tenth and a half up. That would put him just ahead of Jack. Into the long right, into the little kink section. Here we go, using perfect curb placement, perfect car placement into the right-hander, left-hander on fourth gear, using all the curb on the exit. You don't want to use too much because you have the little sticky ID curbs that can absolutely destroy your car. Into the triple right. Easy flat first two. Will he go completely flat on the third one? Yes, he will. Brilliant. Not even going over the curb on the exit. Small hit in the brakes. Nice usage of the exit curve. Now you're going to be braking just around 30 meters into the last corner. Fifth gear he stays in, interestingly enough. A lot of drivers using fourth gear. Now they're onto the line. He's used all his deployment across the line, and he goes provisional pole. It's absolutely sensational.
We are now into the 20.8s as the other drivers comes back on track. It would be the first pole for McLaren since season 6 France if they were to take pole position. I swear it was season 7, but I think you're referring to Korsman there. Titan? Let me just check. You may be referring to Korsman. I don't think he's ever been on pole though. To his credit, he would seem like a driver to be on pole with how his pace has been, but Cryptic steals that back and says something about it. Yeah, I'm looking on the record sheet just to make sure with what Titan mentioned. Season 10 or season 7 round 10. Flaw's never been on pole, so there's the answer right there. Okay, here we go. This is it for the drivers to find a way to either be on pole position or improve their spot on the starting grid. Here's Minico, starting a lap now in the Aston Martin, inside for turn 1. Very much trying to find the time and trying to find improvement from when he invalidated the previous time. You gotta stay in bounds on the track, and he didn't do that last time. Now this time he's gonna try to do just that. Not too much the inside there at the start of the double right, but he did keep it pretty neat because he's got a 26.6, 0.3 better than Beatnik's first sector on the opening laps. Now, S section here, all the way down to the curbs, trying to push the limits. Cryptic heads to the pit lane, so obviously he's not going to try to go for a second attempt. Didn't expect him to, though, but that is provisional pole for him. We'll see if anyone can change that outcome. Now, Minico comes toward the final sector. What's it looking like on the improvement? 53.6, though, for Minico. So this is actually a flying lap for Minico and outperforming that Aston Martin. Him and Florian have done so in Q1, in Q2, three double Q3 appearances the last 3 races for Aston Martin, trying to do something about it and maybe bring them to the top 5, a surprise pole position, very unlikely, but what can Minico do? Comes across the line as the checker flag is waving. Where will he go? Minico crosses the line now. Minico is going to be third. Just Horseman, who's on the front row currently, down in Sector 2, but finds improvement in Sector 3. Korsman on provisional pole for the first time. McLaren would be on pole position for the first time since season 7, round 10. However, Reese wants to deny him. Reese needs it. Reese comes to the line now. It's second, front row. Jack Miles trying to take a pole position. First time this season. He is just off. He is 5th. Next behind that is Florian. Then it's Red Fire. Red Fire also finds improvement. Beatnik next to cross the line. Beatnik did find improvement. Fifth just behind Minico. And next is TB. TB finds spots in the order. And then it's all down to Luke, but he's invalidated. It's Korsman, who will bring McLaren their first pole since season 7, round number 10. 2 seasons ago, you'd have to almost go 60 plus weeks back to find the last McLaren pole position. It's his first pole position in RPL.
Absolutely stupendous, beautiful.
It's someone different than the top 3 teams on pole. Yes, exactly. McLaren do just that, where they find a way to not be outside, I guess, in a sense, of the top 3 teams and not have a pole position. It was Mercedes and Singapore took a first pole position. Ferrari and Red Bull have already been on pole position multiple times this season, and Korsman, who finds the time and gets ahead of Reese and Cryptic. Here's your lineup. Reese and Cryptic very close there as well. Both Red Bulls fighting it to the very end. Minico P4 for Aston Martin. Beatnik P5 for Mercedes. Jack is P6 in row 3. A little bit of a disappointing end to Jack's qualifying session, but to be fair to his credit, look at how close that top 6 is. And then you could see TB, Florian, Red Fire, and Luke running it out.
Korsman was actually down on his lap after sector 2 as well. So he pulled it out in the last sector. He was half a tenth down on his best lap, and then obviously Reese took provisional pole, and he basically gained over a tenth in the last sector on his lap. Korsman did, so fair bloody dinkum.
Korsman has won an RPL race before, but never been on pole position. So it's time to bring the action here for RPL F1. It's time for both of us to put on our serious faces and see whether or not things can go the way it is intended. 48-point gap in the championship. Reese and Scyther, a constructors battle with Red Bull and Ferrari, a 74-point gap. Remember, Scyther is not here today, so very big on Reese to try to extend that gap and win his first title. He has 10 wins in RPL, no title to his name. Also, 130 points on offer from this race onwards, so we'll see how that fares as well. And the strategy we mentioned prior, soft to hard, medium to hard, that's the most likely, and a Hail Mary with the soft to mediums for the drivers. Obviously, you could revert the strategies.
Beatnik currently chucking on the soft compound tyre.
All right, just waiting on the drivers to get their final changes in. You have fuel being a big factor. You have tires being a big factor. And any last changes to the setup. You didn't like what you had in qualifying? Well, there's only a few things you can change now.
Only driver on the softs is Track Racer.
Well, why not go for something like a Hail Mary? Here come the 5 red lights for the first Qatar Grand Prix in F1 for RPL. A jump start from L74G, not crucial to his race. For the rest of it, Minico didn't go off the line, but TS Korsman leads the run down to turn 1. Gonna try to arc the corner side by side between the McLaren and Red Bull. Reese trying to do everything he can to get the race lead. Side by side at turn 2. Reese on the inside for turn 3. They touch. It's Reese ahead. Korsman has to yield for second. And now Cryptic follows suit behind with L74G battling Beatnik with that drive-through. Very crucial to his race to get it out of the way in terms of gaining positions and everything else. Minico, for some reason, at the back of the grid, did not go off the line. You can see cars jockeying for position, trying to fan out. The Ferrari getting sideways. That was Stenner. And at the back of the grid, more yellow flags.
Hudson and Grandpa, the tier 2 title protectors, forcing each other off the circuit.
Shanghai around. Shanghai into the gravel, having some issues right there. There was potential contact we saw at the end of that, but Reese with an amazing start ahead of TS Korsman.
Oh, contact between Jack and Florian.
Obviously taking the place. A little bit of slipstream games down the front straight. All trying to get slipstream off one another. Red Fire pulling out on Beatnik. Red Fire would need this, and they're all fanning out, almost 4 wide in the background. We're going to switch to that because Trent Racer inside the top 10. Annex trying to get spots side by side with Jack and Florian. Florian ahead of Jack. And Jack down the inside. They touch.
And Annex and Trent Racer.
Inside. They will go side by side at the double right where Annex gets ahead, and now Stenner wants his opportunity to involve himself in this battle. We look at the positions gained as Strat Racer tries to pull one on the inside. Behind that, they almost go 2 by 2. However, much action in the first couple of laps. Strat Racer up 5, Annex 3, L74G 4, 5 for Red Fire. What an amazing start. And 3 for DeChiller. Wow.
Was chaos. Jack is catching back up to Florian again. I think this is going to be another old ding dong. Florian's already got a penalty. It's lap 2.
It's the first track limit penalty to this race as Stenner is trying to heat up Trent Racer. And how about Florian defending from Jack Miles? L74G still having to come in and serve that drive-through that he got there on the start for the jump start. And now you can see Jack Miles pulling out on Florian, trying to make the move already before turn 1. Can he the corner like Reese and Korsman were trying to do on one another? Florian pushes Jack out and shuts the door. It is Florian ahead of Jack.
Really defending from Florian there, to be fair. The Ferrari just doesn't have enough straight line speed, it seems, to even get alongside. He's going to need the DRS next lap to get the move done, Jack. It's costing him just valuable amounts of time here. Jack with a horrible race start. I don't know what happened to him. He just didn't go.
And neither did Minico. Minico said it was due to his brakes. Kipu fell back there for some reason as well. Shanghai obviously had the contact there at the gravel, but just a couple accordion effects. Nothing too major at the start besides an L74G drive-through. That is crucial. He has to serve that this lap or else he will be disqualified from the event for not serving a penalty within 3 laps that you need to serve in the pit lane. And here we go. The race lead once again. 3/10 the gap between Reese and Korsman. Korsman lost it at the start, and now he's in a Red Bull sandwich and trying to go for a win for McLaren and a win for himself.
Red Fire Tiger, we were talking naughty about him in the qualifying, but here he is. He's in the top 4, and he's sticking with this front group. So fair play to him.
Here comes Korsman with the help of the DRS, assisting that rear wing opening. You can see in the background Florian and Jack, but Korsman tries to give Reese the dummy. He can't go by. You saw Jack finally at it. You gotta hope both Alpine drivers don't come to collision. However, they are very smart about it. It is TB who concedes the spot on Grandpa, and now Annex and Stenner. This is a nice academy battle, but Annex through up into 8th.
Don't know what happened there. Stenner was ahead of him easily going into turn 2, but then fell down on the little mini straight. Don't know what happened there. Maybe a little oversteer moment, but yeah, Annex is back through him.
And now the race lead, 3/10 once again. Cryptic trying to get himself back into DRS. He's fallen out of it just a little bit. He needs to maintain that gap. And I did say it was a 27-lap race. Excuse me, it is a 29-lap race. My bad on that. Either way, doesn't change the fact that if you did start on softs, you got to worry about punctures. However, all the drivers started on mediums and hards. A very ranged option for some of these drivers. Cryptic on hards. Everyone else choosing to go for the mediums to start this race.
I think Korsman, I don't know if he's going to, if he goes for the move now, he's going to have to. But I think the lap before he stayed behind, he's going to just, look at him, he's not using any of the DRS at all. He's just letting the DRS do the work, and he's taking the race lead. I think this is genius. Differential between the 2 drivers. Korsman just saving it, tucking in the DRS. He's got the better cornering speed, it seems. And Reese is having to defend using the DRS. And, oh, they almost collide there. Very close indeed.
Absolutely. We have Reese trying to heat the back of Korsman up again. Trying to find a way past DeChiller now in the penalty box. So very crucial toward this race for him. Remember, Red Fire, who's running P4 right now, set a podium in consecutive seasons of RPL. Highest driver in the championship not to have a podium, and in fact, credit to him, 5 consecutive points finishes. Kept it very consistent and clean.
He's got absolutely 0 ERS, though, to be fair. His teammate's got 76 and he's got 16. He's just the 60% down. He needs to stick with Cryptic. That's all he needs to do for this stage in the Grand Prix.
Again, the race lead. Can Korsman hold on over Reese? Reese using a ton of battery so far to start this race in the first 5 laps. However, Reese is trying to get it back. He pulls the inside, shows him which lane he wants to go, makes the move easy. However, can he hold on to it by turn 1 while Korsman tries to cut back? He can't do it. Reese is ahead. Also in the background, Grandpa getting Annex, and also the Alfa Romeo Zakaria getting Tret Racer. And also Hunted and Jordan side by side here at turn 1. This is a neat little battle. Now Red Fire in the penalty box as well. That is not crucial toward his race.
Big mistake. That'll cost him near the end of the Grand Prix. If there's any potential safety cars, he needed to make sure he kept this race clean, and he was up there with Korsman. If Korsman gets the race win, you expect you expect Tiger to be on the podium or just outside, but that's going to pay absolutely detrimental to his race. And Stenner with one as well. Disgusting.
That's 4 drivers right there who've had penalties. And crazy enough, with Luke's drive-through that he did serve, he was able to pull a decent bit of gap to where he's ahead of Minico. We didn't mention that, but very big for those 2 to come through the field now. We'll be watching out for them when they do.
Yeah, I knew Minico off the start. He just was already 10 seconds down. I just don't think he started. He just didn't start the race. I don't know what happened. Jordan with a penalty as well.
And now, DRS helping Korsman. Reese now below 30% on that battery for just a moment there. And you could see behind Jack and Florian. Florian diving down the inside. Here he goes. Can he get past? And does he pinch Jack like he did the last time? A little bit of contact between them. Luckily, the banging wheels was not too much. Grandpa and Annex. Grandpa off the circuit, and Grandpa re-enters alongside Annex, and now side by side to the double right. Is it Grandpa's corner? Is it Annex's corner? Side by side between them two. Annex excelling. Ooh! Wow.
I mean, Annex wasn't wrong when he said that Haas must have been a quality merchant, because he's absolutely dropping like a rock here. The 2 Alpines all over him.
Especially before pit stops, and Stenner on Florian. Stenner was maybe thinking of a look, and now he uses that battery to have a look at the final corner side by side. You don't usually do that here. However, Stenner using that battery, and now going to be low 10%, blinking, and Florian almost into the rear tire of them. So now we're about to be 3 wide on the straight. Florian far inside line. Stenner through on both of them. The 2 AlphaTauri swap as well for 14th place. Wow. What battling has this circuit allowed? You did mention a little bit of lack of overtakes there, Owen, but I don't think there's much lack of overtakes today with the help of DRS and drivers using a bit of their battery. However, to Korsman's credit, he has conserved a lot of ERS.
Mentioned I did it a few weeks ago, I think, or was it last week? I mentioned that there's going to be little trains around the circuit. If you look at the mini map, you can see train for first, train for fourth, train for sixth, train for ninth, and the train for 12th. It's absolutely sensational. The DRS trains are absolutely prevalent around this circuit. Woo! And it allows for amazing battling. Because they're just all together every straight going into turn 1. And then when a quicker car's coming through, like hopefully we see with Luke, Nelson Borgi, and Minico later in the race, You'll see them going for opportunistic moves into unorthodox locations. But here comes Florian. Oh, and Korsman, sorry. Very close to the back, but here comes Florian for the P6. He's going to go for it.
Boy. Here is Florian looking, can't get through. And behind that, Annex and TB. Annex is closing in on TB, who has a penalty. Look at the penalties as well on the side of our screen.
Disgusted. Look at the amount of 3-second penalties about the gaff. It's absolutely horrendous. Cryptic, I forgot to mention, actually, he's got a penalty. And Red Tiger's fallen off massively. What's happened? Monica with a penalty now as well.
There is 9 drivers on the track right now, and it's only almost a third of the way in on this.
It's going to be horrible at the end of the race. You're going to need a calculator to work out where everyone's going to finish.
That's crazy. That feature in this game, because I remember a couple of games ago we didn't even have that feature at all, so trying to work out the amount of penalties is like, oh boy, you know, we wouldn't know who'd be finishing where, which is just crazy to think about.
Until it happened. You didn't know where anyone was finishing, you just kept seeing the, it was like you would get the report for it, like the so-and-so has received a 3-9 penalty, but it would show up in the on the left-hand side. It was horrendous.
Exactly. 9 points this season. There's only been a couple of teams ever in RPL to have single digits to their name for a season in RPL in points. Hunted, the Chiller, and Jordan continue their battle. However, they have figured it out who will be where on the track.
Haas, obviously, as well, the only team to never score a podium in RPL.
Yes, very true.
Annex do
and
that
you know
this
what?
season.
Annex had some good qualifying pace to the point where we thought maybe they could if, you know, a lot of drivers do get penalties, and at this rate, he's technically net P5. So to his credit and De Haas's credit, fair play. I do say net, including the fact if there's a safety car and we do have a spin, it's Minico.
Disaster.
Absolutely unfortunate to his race. It's going down the drain. 3-second time penalty right there. As well to his name. That does not help Korsman, by the way. Compared to racing the battery, 73% to 25%. And now getting a bit of help from the rear wing once again with Korsman. And now Korsman is a lot closer to make a move on Reese. Here he goes.
He
can't do it.
Massively. His big brain.
Fire.
Here comes Renault. Here he goes.
Beatnik inside. Redfire has for the corner. Redfire slides in the process. You saw that tank slapper and what that did. It didn't allow him to get past. Whoa. However, it's going to allow a bit of a battle for turn 3. And now on the run to turn 4. Redfire on the inside line trying to make the pass. Can't do it. I mean, you know, we go through the field, wherever you go, there's just somebody within DRS, somebody within a battle, and Minico looks to be retiring from this race.
Don't do it, you get a penalty. Don't do it. Don't do it. What's he doing? So confused. Oh, he's retired from the section. On camera. Let me record that. No, I'm not. First retirement of the race.
Maybe a bit of...
We got a 5-car queue now for P4 after the Redfire and Beatnik battle.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that makes this race interesting. However, they will have yellow flags on the main street. Actually, they don't, because you know what? I believe they don't have any yellow flags on the main street because it looks like it's green all the way through, and now that's changed. So we'll see if any overtaking gets halted due to that. Korsman trying to go through on Reese can't get through. Also, he let off again into turn 1 to make sure he didn't go through. He's waiting for the right opportunity and the right time. And you can see a couple cars ghosting through the Aston Martin. His teammate watches him go through as well. But anyway, the battling continues for P4 and multiple penalties to their names. And RPL Jordan is into the pit lane to go to the hards, meaning this is around the time where we should be seeing some pit stops, Owen.
He's the first pit stop of the race.
That was Korsman sliding out of the S's right there. That was very treacherous because he's almost been outside of DRS because of it, and now uses a bit of that battery, which in fact, by the way, you save a total of 17% in the pit lane. You don't get much back, but you still get some in rewards to it, which is what Reese needs.
I mean, this is probably the easiest championship Reese will win now if he just makes sure he doesn't lose his head battling Korsman. He can suffer a P2 this race because that gap will go over up to almost 60 points, and will only be how many races after this? 5.
Yes, there's 5 after this, and we go to Circuit Americas next week.
So Reese just needs. We were saying this last week, literally, especially with Scooter not showing up. Reese should have this in the bag. It's now his to lose, really. I'd say he's got one hand on the trophy already. But Korsman is not leaving. Is not. What's the word for it? I'll use the opposite. Korsman is keeping the pressure on. So
yes, he really is. Very much under pursuit.
Cracks. It's over. A DNF to Reese here would be absolutely disgusting news. Technically, it would still be a win for him. Net championship because the gap would stay the same. Discuss for with less races to go, but the point swing can be huge in this race if he wins it. So
absolutely,
I think he's sweating buckets under that helmet.
But Fire has also definitely kept the pressure on Beatnik to, I guess, force him into a mistake and try to get him in the penalty range with the other drivers. Korsman is in. Korsman is going to try the undercut and almost hits the barrier on the pit entry. That got very tight. Florian and Jack Miles also coming in as well in the process. Yep. So these two drivers have to make sure they do not speed.
Stenner was the first of the top 10, really, to make the switch to the hard compound tyre. So he's going to possibly get the undercut here on the Jack Miles and Florian Van Zelter little debacle. And Alex and TB! TB forced off the circuit, and Alex now going around the outside of turn 2. TB does the same.
Whoa!
It's absolutely scintillating between the two young boys. And into the fourth corner we go, and Annex comes out on top.
That was tons of contact between the two. My gosh.
That's what we love to see.
More
rough,
drivers
but clean.
Yes, exactly. That was very much on the limit.
Look at the undercut gap. Stenner's just gone 3 seconds. Oh my days. This could be sensational for Korsman. The undercut,
very big
undercut's that powerful. He could pull out a 3-second gap on Reese here.
Wow. That actually does impress me, I must say. Annex currently running P5. He's been P5 the last 2 races. P6 last week. He'll be coming in soon. Speaking of coming in, how about Reese coming in? And Redfire with a 3-second time penalty. That is the first driver with 6 seconds of penalties. You are correct on that one.
Disgusted.
Man,
he didn't
if Redfire can figure it out, it would be very great. He's doing well on track, but not in terms of the track limits. Obviously, Beatnik is going to have a move to be made soon here on him, but will not do it just yet. Reese coming out of the pit lane now. Where is he in terms of Korsman? This undercut, super
it's going to be close.
Beneficial. It is going to be close. Lead. Korsman to the net lead. The pit stop lost here, 24 seconds. So Korsman definitely had the better outlap, without a doubt. Annex also.
Ooh,
and now, just a couple of drivers yet to pit.
Korsman's going to want to get that DRS advantage, that DRS gap to Reese, so you can peel away and take the lead and the easy win of this race. He's done it. He's gapped Reese.
Wow. Minico said his brakes failed, got stuck, and a big battle here for the 12th position with 6, 7 cars under a blanket. Kipu gets muscled by the Chiller. L74G3 on Trout Racer. Trout Racer almost with a little bit of a stack up with Hunted. I believe he's about to let him go. He does. And pitting is Redfire finally. Amazing battling throughout the whole field. I must give credit to the drivers. They have kept it clean, except for the penalties.
Oh, and Luke's got a penalty while overtaking, so that's interesting. Did he overtake off track as well then?
Oh boy. Tons of battling. Kipu and Hunted now.
Penalty.
The back of the
For
grid.
extending track limits. He went off the circuit, so that could be a double whammy penalty for Luke there if somebody, me, recorded it.
Ooh. You're feeling a little spicy right there. Either way, Redfire coming out of the pit lane. He's going to be behind Jack, behind Stenner, behind Florian, and almost behind Grandpa, but he's ahead of Grandpa. So,
Oh dear.
Wow.
That's
That does
horrible.
not help him whatsoever.
He's lost so much time in the pit window then.
I think everybody with this pit window with the undercuts and overcuts now is really spread out now. We talked about all the battling, but the second half of the race looks to be a battle of catching the other driver.
Yeah, Redfire Tiger in the first 5 laps of the race was probably like 3 seconds off his teammate. He's now like 14. That's mostly down to obviously the pits, but obviously a good chunk of that is just a lack of pace in the long run for Redfire, unfortunately.
Cryptic is in. And only one retirement to this race, by the way. Minico, the only retirement. Minico, first points last week, came in a Mercedes P5. Not going to happen again this week. But to his credit, though, you know, he did have a good showing on qualifying just for it to completely suck in the race.
These little bricks, he said, yeah.
Beatnik, TB, both in. So the only driver yet to pit in this race is Kipu.
Oh, could Stenner get Cryptic here? He can. Will Jack get Cryptic? He might. It'll be
close. It's going to be a race out of the pit lane.
Jack
It is
the better
Cryptic.
racing line.
4P4.
Cryptic is on the
Florian
medium
is well in
tire.
the background with Redfire. Redfire goes off the track. Redfire comes back on. Side by side wheels and almost come together. However, they remain wheel to wheel for turn number 3, and into turn 4 they go. Redfire is ahead. Florian's still going to try to stick his nose on the inside. It is Redfire with the spot over Florian, and behind that, Beanick ahead of Grandpa. That's a little DRS battle we'll watch soon here as well, but the two teammates, Zakaria and Jordan, lead this pack of cars here for P12.
Little Alfa Romeo train going on here.
Oh! Reese and Korsman for the lead. We just missed that. What happened there? Korsman overtaken for the race lead. And
he went
now
off the circuit. I'm looking at the replay there on the live stream. Korsman went off the circuit at the long left, the quicker hairpin, and I don't know what, maybe he locked up. I don't know what happened. He's obviously made a detrimental mistake. His ERS is now plummeted because he used it all to try and gap race, and now he's back in the same place he was for the pit stops.
weaving, bobbing, and now trying to find their way to break some slipstream and trying to find a way to either be first or second. And Strat Racer is out. Safety car. Holy cow, that has just put a big exclamation point on this race.
Everybody diving into the pits from P12 downwards.
Out of turn 6, I believe that is. Is that turn 6?
Luke is racing.
Turn 5.
Luke is racing into the pit lane. He's overtaken Jordan, and he's got himself a penalty.
What? What?
You're allowed to overtake in the pit entry, but he's obviously done it he's done it wrong.
You're not allowed to speed legally either, but he did that too.
If he didn't speed, that would have been fine, but he bottled it. He tried to do a little Sebastian Vettel 2016 China, but he fumbled the bag severely, and he's only got a 5-second time penalty to serve. Silly goose. He didn't need to do that because Jordan was going to double stack anyway. I don't know why he did that.
Yeah, I was gonna say Korsman's last race. So we had one DNF in Zandvoort, 2 DNFs to the race today, 1 on track, 1 not. And now we look to our leaders to see if they will come in as well, and we'll see where they all come out in this race for either the lead, the podium, wherever. But that now helps Jack Miles for P3 in the race for the podium.
I think Cryptic will stay out here because he's just pitted as well.
Oh! Korsman has just passed Reese entering the pit lane. But was that legal? Was that before the pit lane, though? That just got very interesting.
Oh, I've just seen it. Yeah, that's definitely illegal.
Oh, my. Oh, me, oh, my.
That is interesting.
Wow.
That is interesting.
And Jack Miles and Cryptic stay out.
I jacked on that.
So does Annex. Annex racing out of the pit lane onto the net podium. And now Haas will look to fight for their first podium in RPL, but at the expense of a penalty. Wow. Well, you know, the battling had stopped for a little bit, Owen, and now we have a race on our hands, to say the least, without a doubt. The last driver to win at a new circuit was Scyther in Miami, and he's not here today, so it will be someone else.
Last driver to what, sorry?
Win at a new circuit was Scyther at Miami.
I think it'll be... I was going to say T.S. Corbin, but I think he's going to get a penalty for that. So...
Yeah, that's really risky. It's fair to do it, but where he did it, though, is the question. Was it legal? Was it not? That's the question. Chat, was that a fair move or foul move on Korsman's part? And Kipu saying he does not like the circuit at all. And my question now becomes, Owen, if Korsman feels he's in the wrong for that, does he end up letting Reese go after the finish line on the restart?
If he lets him through, if he cedes the position, it'll not be investigated, I don't think.
And you have to show that you have intent on letting the person go. You can't just get a bad restart. You have to show you have intent. Therefore, the stewards don't investigate that. And Korsman will be making that clear to Reese that, hey, I'm letting you go here in terms of the restart. And when he does that, he'll know that I don't need to submit that to the steward's office. And Annex briefly takes the race lead as he enters the pit lane, passes the safety car. You got to be very careful with that. And he will make sure he pits to get some new fresh tires. Beatnik and Grandpa on the softs. They will likely make the end of this race, but still, that has a question mark on it.
Interesting choice. Beatnik will be absolutely rapid, especially with the 0 penalties. If you got any warnings, let me analyze that. Beatnik has 0 warnings this race, so good, fair play to him. This could be a good result for Beatnik if he keeps his tires, keeps them up to pace. I'm gonna just check here what the tire life is on the soft tires. I have it written down. The softs last between 12 to 14 laps, so they'll be fine, but they'll obviously wear off pretty quickly in terms of pace near the end of that, near the end of the race.
Yeah, and you know what? It's 2 of the last 8 races had a safety car in it, and it usually ended in chaos in some extent for the drivers. We look at the drivers left in this race with a penalty: 17th, 18th, 14th, 15th, 13th, 12th, 9th and 10th, 6th and 7th. We have 12 drivers with a penalty. That's 2/3 of our grid. That is absolutely crazy.
Jack Miles is the only driver on the hard compound tire, so he'll be absolutely horrendously slow. I think what he's going to have to do here is he's going to have to hold up the car behind and help maybe Stenner do something masterful here. I think unless you're Scuss, your goal for the Ferrari really is just to get a podium. I don't think the Ferrari in general is a quick enough car to win races. So I think a podium in the Ferrari, in the Ferrari on this game at least, would be a good race. So I think Jack's just going to have to try and stick with the front runners and get a lot of positions on penalties. But I think Beatnik could be the wee dark horse in this race with those soft tires.
I think Beatnik's going to be disappointed in me, Owen. You want to know why? Because I did not get Burger King during the race, but I've been given some Wendy's. So...
dirty American food.
Kind of going against Beatnik here. I'm sorry, Beatnik. Those are new soft tires, by the way, for those guys. They have clarified that. We'll switch to the tires because there is more drivers pitting. The safety car stays out an extra lap. If you're one of the drivers who did not have a penalty in this restart or are up front, what is the goal in this restart, Owen?
If you don't have a penalty and you're on medium tires, I'd say... Well, Beanix's position, all these cars in front of him with penalties are just going to cost him time, so he needs to get them quick. If you have a penalty, I think everyone's mindset on a restart is just go, 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 overtake, 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 get out of my way, get out of my way, bang, bang, bang. Apart from Jack, I think what Jack's just trying to do is try to stay with Cryptic. I don't think he's going to try and take the lead because that would just cost him a lot more positions than it would, but just stick with Cryptic. If Cryptic stays in the lead and Jack stays with him, Jack could win the race, but that is very unlikely because he's got T.S. Corman and Stanley behind him who are going to be absolutely rocketing past him very shortly.
Absolutely. If you want to continue watching the RPL action, well, next week, F2, Tier 2, F1. Tier 2 is at Spa, F2 is at Hungary, F1's at Circuit of the Americas. Fridays and Saturdays, RPL races at. Titan says, no offense to him, I see Beatnik on podium, not P1.
We shall see. If Beatnik wins this race, I'll be very happy.
Well, I will tell him I had my parents order Wendy's, not Burger King. So, you know what? I have it my way. He has it his way. And now time for the restart. Cryptic leads them down. He's got to make sure he keeps a consistent pace. You cannot be erratic in terms of the throttle on the safety car restart. You have to nail it. You have to get it careful. Owen, take it away. This should get very interesting here between the drivers. Some drivers have penalties. Some drivers don't. He's away.
He's absolutely legged it as soon as he can. And he's not got a big gap to Jack, but Jack has been a little bit sleepy there. Is Horseman going to go for it immediately? He is. He's going to go wheel to wheel with Jack. No DRS even being used between the two. Just shows the difference. And the race is going to make it 3 wide. He's going to take the race lead. Is Horseman going to fight it? He will fight it, so no penalty there. And he's been overtaken.
They almost came together, and now the two Ferraris go side by side, Senna and Jack, and now Jack has been left in the dust because he's now got red fire for a little bit of threatening in this race. Korsman now behind Reese, and this could be very, very crucial toward who wins this race, as Cryptic leading with the penalty. Red fire dives down the inside on Jack. They touch. Kipu's got a penalty, so now they run toward turn 7 with Jack having the inside line.
Oh, the grip on the new mediums is just absolutely so much better than the old hards that Jack is on, and Red Fire goes through. Absolutely amazing overtake. Just, it's getting crazy. Beatnik now with Florian. Oh.
Florian off the road. Beatnik trying to gain the spots. He does not have a penalty. He's technically net P4 right now, and Annex gets to Chiller. Luke gets Jordan. And now toward the front of the field, Korsman a lot closer to Reese as well, as Reese fights for the race lead over his teammate Cryptic.
Right in the back of Jack. I think he's going to go for it here now. Into the last corner. Jack's not going to fight it too much, surely. He's going to just stick it around the outside. Going to make Beatnik work a little bit for it, but Jack's not using any of his ERS. And now Florian's going to come through and make a free wide down the main street again. How many free wides have we seen? And the lead!
Reese to the lead on Cryptic. And now he's got his teammate there to protect, but Cryptic wants down the inside while Korsman's around the outside. Korsman is through and ahead, and we've got a 3-car race on our hands while Stenner wants part of the action. Stenner wants to be there for Ferrari. Now Cryptic is under pressure from Stenner with Red Fire following with the penalties.
Jack is sunk like a rock, like an anchor. He's down to P9, and how many more is he going to lose? This was not the optimal idea for Jack, but he probably had no other choice, really. But if I was him, I would have pitted. He would have been on fresher tyres with no penalties. He would have been racing with all these guys with penalties. He would have got a podium 100%. But now it's looking unlikely.
Absolutely. Beatnik has really had a flaming restart. He has absolutely done everything he can to gain, and now he needs his new academy teammate, Florian, to let him by, or at least get up to DRS, and then Beatnik can get through, because now, with Florian having the penalty, if Beatnik can just get by and find a way past, he can go catch the race leaders. And this could be very crucial for at least a podium based on the penalties. And now Cryptic will fight back for second place.
question
enabled.
remains: will Korsman get a penalty for what he did? We will have to wait and see. He obviously let Reese through, but not of his own accord. And and Florida's tagged Beatnik. What is he doing?
Work together, not against each other. They just absolutely broke Team Academy code right there. And in the background, Grandpa wants his taste of the action. Jack has dropped down all the way to 11th from all that battling and all that action. Zakaria, by the way, only driver besides Jack outside the points without a penalty. We will watch that very carefully. Is another punt to the back of Florian from Grandpa this time.
Beatnik not doing as well as I thought he would, but he's through everyone behind him. He just needs to gap these cars, and he's not doing a good enough job, I don't think, on those softs. Maybe they're wearing already. But Beatnik not as quick as I expected on those new softs. He's currently in the position for a podium still, but with the penalties. But Florian, I don't know what he's playing. He's got a penalty, and Beatnik's in the same academy, and Beatnik's on fresher tires. So Florian is just, it's not making a very good what's the word?
Oh!
Spinner!
No, Grandpa! He was having a good race, and now he's picked up damage on his car somewhere. And that is not what he needed. As Korsman tries to put some more pressure on Reese for the race lead. He just can't get past right there. And now Florian trying to gain on the runners in front of that with Beatnik.
The word I was looking for was impression. Florian not making a very good impression on his current team principal for the rest of this Tier 2 season. And Grandpa has retired in the pit lane, intriguing. Tier 2 championship protagonist. And Florian picked up another penalty, the North boy, and he's still pressuring Beatnik, but Beatnik not gaining on the cars in front anymore. So he's burned those softs through, I think.
Softs should go to the end with the time spent under the safety car. However, you need to not wear them too much because you could have what happen to you, like with Beatnik. It is a big question, Owen. Will Korsman get a penalty for that incident? We'll take our focus away from that and focus on the lead because Korsman and Reese have been exchanging the lead, or at least exchanging positions, with not much reward, especially because the battery loss from both of them now. And both of them now below 50% on their battery. Can they go all the way to the max and either protect or defend their spots? It's Reese protecting the position and staying ahead as Florian gets Beatnik.
This is stupid from Florian. But
yeah, I get
quicker.
it. Florian probably wouldn't be able to hang on. Maybe he would with the 6 seconds. Yeah, he does have 6 seconds. So to be fair, he is in a battle for the last point spot, but it is also your team principal you're battling too. So I totally get both sides of that. As Korsman tries to find some way to get the door wide open on Reese for the lead.
Yeah, Beatnik is now not going to get a podium with the penalties applied. He only finished P5 at this point in the Grand Prix, so Cryptic and Stenner are net fighting for the podium.
Oh,
and Stenner gets a penalty. A silly goose.
Another one to his name. That is absolutely gut-wrenching, especially being P4 and red fire with 9 seconds. I don't even think we need to show you the tires. We need to show you the penalties in this race at this point, as Beatnik puts some more pressure on Florian to try to exchange spots once again. And now for the lead. Korsman trying to pass Reese. He's got enough momentum before turn 1. Is he going to duck out, though? The answer is no. Behind that, Beatnik ahead on Florian once again. Does the overtake before turn 1, in fact, too.
Well, 740 9 second of penalties as well. Interesting. So he's not going to get points in the Mercedes today. Beatnik, thought I'd never say this, but he's currently driving better. The 3-time, is it 3-time or is he a 4-time? 3-time champion on 740G.
Yes, absolutely. It is 3-time, and Hunted is through on Jordan. And Jordan and Hunted continue to trade spots there. At the very back of the grid, it is Hunted who goes off and hooks a little left there on Jordan. You got to be careful because they're about to come to collision side by side in the S's. It is Hunted ahead, but Jordan is not going to give it up. Inside line. Ooh, that got close.
Titan telling me that Luke is a 3 times F1, 5-time F2 champion. Although I don't count the F2 ones because he's the biggest F2 fraud I've ever seen in my life.
Here we go. Horseman. Now they're 2x2. And here goes Stenner. Stenner wanted to have a look on Reese. Reese, with no DRS, barely any ERS, gets overtaken by Korsman. And now by his teammate as well for a moment. Korsman to the lead.
Stenner absolutely throttling the back of Reese's car. Has he got damage? Invisible.
Right in the back of them. And trying to push them along.
Phoenix
has
like
left the session. And now Florian slid from P6, about to lose it with TB right there as well, while Annex goes up to P8. Annex could be on for P4 right here with the penalties. Well, one last chance. Maybe 2 more chances. Reese is really putting the pressure now on Korsman. Once again, he wants the race lead. He needs the race win. If he wants to continue to extend the gap, if he has any bad races in the final 5 races, if Scyther comes back, and now Cryptic wants to have a look on Reese. While Reese has a look on Korsman, the penultimate lap is done. The final lap is on. Here we go. Reese, Cryptic, Korsman in the 3-car fight. They're about to go 3 abreast toward turn 1. Reese to the outside line. Can Reese go through for the lead? Side by side, Korsman pushes him out to the curb. And now Reese back down the inside. Side by side, they're about to come together, but Korsman out on top.
Phoenix AI has pitted, so his points and potential podium is over.
Now Reese has more opportunities, but how much more? Down the inside, late in the braking zone, side by side in the last lap of the race. You don't usually see a move there in the last lap or the late stages, but Reese wants to win. He's trying to find the way past Korsman. Can't do it just yet. He has a couple more opportunities. And how long left for Reese to find a way past Korsman? This could be a run to the finish line. This could be a photo finish. Reese dumping the battery. Korsman dumping the battery. They're all finding the time. They're all finding the places that they can gain and they can take the race victory. It's between these two with Cryptic's penalty. It's either Reese, Korsman. Which one's gonna get it? Korsman, the risk of a post-race penalty from passing in the pit lane earlier. Or Reese, who is leading the championship, going for win number 11. Who's going to win the inaugural RPL Qatar race? It's a run to the finish line. Korsman, Reese, Korsman, a second win in RPL. He wins the inaugural Qatar event in RPL. Fight to the line. Annex, Florian, Annex, P5, and crashed. But Korsman wins the first ever Qatar Grand Prix.
Alex's car gives a little chuckle there. That's the fuck. Jack Miles finishing 5th. He'll take that, I think.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Korsman wins his second RPL race. McLaren back on the top step of the podium. We're waiting for when this moment would happen, and it does. It happened in Tier 2 already earlier this season, but it's not happened in F1 until now, where Korsman Brings McLaren back up there. Korsman has won in an Alpine. Korsman's won in a McLaren. I mean, this guy deserves the credit.
Gunnar is furious at restarting as well.
Oh boy.
He believes he moved
Could we see
dangerously
some
late.
post-race penalties? And here are your final results. Annex, P6 in a Haas.
So
Fastest
many
lap toward him.
penalties.
Center, P11 to P4. There is so many penalties. You're exactly right.
This is going to be pain to put on the database.
Absolutely. Final results on front of your screen. Who would you give driver of the day to?
Oh dear. That was a horrible question. I'm going to analyze it here. Hold on. I'm analyzing the results. I don't know, actually. I would have probably TS Korsman, but
I agree.
he did that naughty behaviour. So I don't know. We're gonna have to watch the. We're gonna have to check, but I'd say for him being in the McLaren to win the race, the McLaren obviously is up there now. But the first McLaren win since when? Did you say?
I believe since season 7. Let me
Very
just
good.
double check. McLaren got their first win today since season 7.
Phenomenal.
Wow.
That was a pretty enjoyable Grand Prix.
I must agree with you on that one. And you know what? Even though it might not be a title fight between Scyther and Reese much anymore, it's still an interesting battle to the final couple of races here. Between what drivers win, what drivers don't.
If only Mr. Korsman raced most of the season, that would it could be very interesting.
Final thoughts in the race, and as we head to next week for our events for RPL. I mean, the action I saw this weekend was absolutely incredible with this race, even sometimes in Tier 2. Wasn't the cleanest in Tier 2, but for today, these guys were very impressive nonetheless with keeping it clean, but on the limits.
Keeping it clean racing, but not keeping it clean with the track limit. It was horrible.
Alrighty then. Next week, we are at Circuit of the Americas, USA. Home race for some of the drivers. Scyther, Beatnik, Boss Cookie, Cam, multiple drivers. And we set our sights toward then for Tier 1 next week. If you'd like to tune into other events for RPL, Tier 2 next week on the Friday, F2 on the Saturday, and F1 on same time, as always, Circuit of the Americas for round 18. And until next time, Owen 37 and Ryan Ocon 31 signing off for RPL.
Goodbye.
Have a good night.